You feel like there's something very particular about the way that Macaulay Culkin screams in Home Alone. You know, I mean, like, it's sort of a cultural phenomenon, especially when he does the thing.
The hands on.
Yeah, when he does the
face.
aftershave. Yeah. I've been trying to think of like all of the different versions of that scream. Because he doesn't just do the one. He does have the one that he does when he like slaps aftershave on his face. And it's like the, oh! It's not just a scream. Like, it feels like the tongue is like getting into it. That's not how normal people scream.
He does it when after he says, I'm not afraid anymore. And then he sees Marley standing over him and he goes, ah!
Yeah, that one's just like pure terror. He's like, ah!
When he's excited, he does it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm free, when he realizes he has the house to himself. And then he runs around screaming.
Breaks the fourth wall, and he does that.
When else does he do it?
The van is the other one.
The van. When the van almost hits
when they're
him.
like, that's sick. I told you not to do it. And what are you? Don't tell me not to do it. Well, I don't want to. And then he's like, hey, watch out. And Kevin does the, oh!
So do you think that those that you've just done are different from each other?
Yeah, like,
do you think you did them differently?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Did you feel like I didn't?
I didn't really feel like they were different.
I love the one that he does when he slaps the aftershave on his face, though, because it does feel like that. You know when Charlie Brown does that scream and you see his tongue like waggling out of his mouth?
Not really.
You never watched those?
I've seen them, but I don't know. I never really got down with Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
It was kind of boring to me.
Oh, okay.
No offense.
Yeah, that's fine.
It really was a cultural phenomenon, too, because I distinctly remember being in the grocery store shortly after Home Alone came out, and there was a child younger than me in the seat of a cart, and his mother was sort of lackadaisically pulling the cart from the front, and his feet were hanging out of the seat in the cart. Young kid, we're talking maybe 3 years old, and as I walked by, he put his hands on his face and he did the scream, and I was just so embarrassed for that child. I was like, we all get it. Home Alone, it's a great movie. I mean, you got to see it, but
don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't be that guy. Long Road Home Alone, here we are again, back in the studio. Jimmy, thanks for having me. So glad to be here, coming to you live from
Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
You got it.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so glad. Not only am I glad that you're happy to be here, but I'm glad that you are here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Santee, don't visit the funeral homes, little buddy.
Yeah, who are we talking about today?
Marvin Murchins, my understanding.
Marvin Murchins. Marv is my favorite character in the movie. I don't think another character in Home Alone makes me laugh more than Marv Murchins.
He's the comedy. Almost every character in this film, with the exception of Marley, I would say, gets an opportunity to provide some humor. Leslie, not so much either. But if you had to narrow it down to one character who brings the most comedy, I would say it's Marv.
Even before you get to the traps, Marv is just the goofball. He's a cartoon character.
Marv is a buffoon.
Yeah.
He can't do anything on his own. He's there alongside Harry, and Harry is showing him, not the ropes, but he's...
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering, what do you think about their past? How did the Wet Bandits come to be? You know, like, how long do you think these guys have been working together?
It's a great question, and we're never told, but we know that Joe Pesci is considerably older than Daniel Stern. So, you know, is Marv the protege?
I think Harry's very clearly the brains of the outfit.
He's definitely the brains. And I would go as far to say, I think Marv idolizes Harry.
I don't know. They do feel like they have their own independent spirits, though, because you get that scene, the Wet Bandits thing. That's all Marv. Harry doesn't want anything to do with that. He understands why it's not a good thing to leave a mark that ties you to all of these crimes, and Marv does it anyway. And so, despite the fact that Harry does feel like the brains of the outfit and the leader, Marv is still off doing his own thing.
Marv is inspired.
Yeah.
For sure. He's not just a tag along. He's not a lackey. He does have his own agency and his own personality in this operation. And I think that he probably brought that to the operation when the two of them teamed up.
Yeah.
How do you think that Marv convinced Harry that he was worthy of joining this partnership? Because I think that's the way it went. I mean, I don't think Harry came to Marv and goes, hey, do you want to partner up on this?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm thinking about, I don't know, just the criminal underworld, I think that's kind of how Harry and Marv came together. They like worked on a job together and they're like, oh, we kind of like each other, we trust each other, and let's just keep making this work. I definitely think Harry has been in the game a lot longer than Marv, and Marv is the protege who's being taught, how this works, but he's still his own man.
Not only is he his own man, but he's kind of a loose cannon. I mean, maybe you got to wonder how many jobs they've done together. We know they've done several because they establish that they are the Wet Bandits. Marv says they're the Wet Bandits.
Yeah.
And Harry's disgusted.
Yeah.
He goes, you did it again, didn't you?
I do love that.
You left the water running, didn't you? Why do you do that? It's a sick thing to do.
That's the reason that I think that their friendship is more than just colleagues. That's like an annoying brother thing to do. And that feels exactly where Marv is with Harry. He's the little brother who's annoyed, but he's attached to him. It feels like there really is a bond that's drawing them together, even though Harry is annoyed with Marv.
So going back then to how you think they met, you think that they just maybe did a job together?
Yeah, I would imagine that they were B&E guys in Chicago. They knew a guy who brought them together, and then they decided to team up, and they were just gonna, rob the suburbs of Chicago.
If you are a criminal, your trusted connections are probably limited. You got to be careful, right? You don't get to accept resumes to say, okay, who do I want my partner to be, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the pickings are slim.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry's like, he's the best I got, and I would rather have a partner in this enterprise than be going it alone.
Yeah. I also love the other moment that he gets annoyed with Marv is at the Murphy's house when Marv is just destroying anything he can, this isn't just about robbery. And that, I think, comes back to the Wet Bandits thing. It's not just about stealing things from people's house. It's about destroying their homes. I mean, you think about how many months it's going to take to repair that flooded damage from the sink overflowing. And he's alone in the kitchen as he's cracking up while he's flooding their sink.
He's so delighted.
Yeah.
He's so happy with himself. He gets back to the van, and without saying anything, Harry already knows that he did it.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, what's so funny?
Yeah.
He's so amused by that. He's the chaos agent between the two of them. Harry's the professional.
Yeah.
Harry's like, I want to get in and out. I want to make a living doing this.
Yeah.
It's amoral, sure, but I've got to, it's a business.
You left the water running, didn't you? What's wrong with you? Why do you do that? I told you not to do it.
Harry, it's our calling card.
Calling card.
All the great ones leave their mark. We're the Wet Bandits.
You know what Marv seems like to me?
Yeah.
He seems like this guy who most, if not all of us, have probably known. And if you haven't known this guy, maybe you were that guy. He's the kind of guy who has never had a friend. He's always hanging out. He's always around, right? But nobody likes him. When he's not around, everybody else is like, that guy's super annoying. And then come high school, he's the one who's doing things for attention because it's the only way he can get any interaction, right? He's like the king of the keg stand. He's been laughed at all his life, and it's like he doesn't know or care. Bad attention is better than no attention at all.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know how to be someone who's not obnoxious.
Yeah.
That's how he comes off to me.
The persona that Marv is supposed to embody, Chris Columbus talked about him having this trucker look, those sideburns that
so
come
nasty.
to a point on his cheek. That was Daniel Stern's idea, doing that and then putting the snow globes on the thing.
I was thinking about that the last time I was watching Home Alone. how this look of Daniel Stern's took a minute.
Yeah.
He had to grow this in. You know, how long was he curating this really nasty look before, you know, principal photography?
Well, and then they gave Daniel Stern the role, and his agent asked for more money, and they weren't going to give it to him because they were on like a pretty limited budget on Home Alone. And so they cast another actor for it, and he screen tested with Joe Pesci, and the chemistry that was there between Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern just wasn't there with that other actor. And so they ended up paying Daniel Stern what he asked for, and he came back in, and you can just tell he brings so much to that role. I remember seeing an interview with him too where he talked about this, but that scene where the paint can hits him in the face, he asked for so many takes because he just wanted to make sure that dumb face looked right when the paint can hit it.
He brings it.
Yeah.
He's always so deeply in character.
Yeah.
I want to get back into the layers of Marv's character and the dynamics of their relationship a little bit. I think I had said earlier that I think that Marv idolizes Harry, and I'm sticking to that because I think despite the fact that he has his own predilections,
I think they're just like hobbies. Like this is my interest. Like I want to wreak havoc.
Totally. I'm going to pursue this interest of mine.
Yeah.
But despite that, there's never a power struggle between the two of them.
No.
I feel like Marv recognizes that Harry is the boss and Harry is in charge. And it's evidenced by the moments of decision when Marv keeps turning to Harry and basically asking for Harry's advice. What are we going to do next, right? He catches Kevin by the pant leg. And he's like, I got him, Harry. I got him. And that's all he's got. He's like, I'm incapable of making a decision.
Yeah, I can't do this myself.
I need you to know that I got him.
Yeah.
And then very soon thereafter, right, when they catch him coming up from the Murphy's basement. Yeah.
What are we going to do to him, Harry?
What are we going to do to him, Harry? It's like, you tell me, Harry. So Marv is really always, he can't do it on his own.
No.
He can't. And there's also the moment where you can really just blow right past it. But there's that moment where they make the decision to rob the house, right? They have realized that Kevin is home alone, and Marv doesn't want to rob the house. He's the one who's like, even with the kid there, I don't think that's such a good idea. And it's like that one time where he he tries to establish his feelings on it.
Yeah. And Harry's just like, ever since I seen that house, I wanted it.
Yeah. So Marv goes along with him, even though he knows. Well, Marv's the one who knows this is not a good idea.
He does this again in the attic scene. Harry is the one who goes out on the wire, and he's like, come on, you sissy. And he's like, go out the window.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Are you scared, Marv? Are you afraid?
Yeah.
And he is. And with good reason.
He basically just bullies Marv into getting slammed against a brick wall.
Yeah. So it's this weird duality where it's like Marv is the chaos agent, but he's also the one who rightly knows when the risk is too great.
Yes.
He knows when to quit.
Yeah.
And Harry's wrath overpowers the logic of Marv.
He's clearly the subordinate in this relationship.
And Marv is in over his head for a lot of this. And I think he is cognizant enough to know that he's in over his head, but he is following Harry's lead. And so I do think there's he'd never come right out and say it, but I think he loves Harry. I don't think Harry loves Marv, but I think Marv is like, Harry somehow in this life is the person who has treated me better than anyone else has ever treated me.
I don't know. It just feels like a surrogate brother relationship to me. Yeah. It feels very much
I feel like Marv has never had that.
I don't feel like it's just one way, though. I do feel like Harry gets something out of it as well.
Harry would really never admit it.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't, but I think he appreciates that he's got a subordinate who he can just be like, go do this thing.
Right.
And then even when they come back out of the house, Marv is the one who's like, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
And Harry's like, wait. We work this neighborhood too. If they just listened to Marv and said, stop going after that house.
If you really think about it time and again, I mean, Marv so many opportunities Marv wanted to jump ship.
Yep.
Every single time along the way, Marv wanted to be like, let's cut our losses. There's always a better, easier house someplace else.
Yeah.
Forget this one.
We've already robbed 2 houses in Winnetka. We're good.
But the McAllisters is solely Harry's obsession.
Yep.
And Marv's just along for the ride.
You ever seen the movie Rookie of the Year?
Oh, I've seen Rookie of the Year. Yes, sir.
It's a pretty great comedy.
Yeah, I love baseball movies from the 90s.
Directed by Daniel Stern. Oh, I also love baseball movies from the 90s.
Have you ever seen Angels in the Outfield?
Yes, I've seen Angels in the Outfield many times.
Yeah, Danny Glover's in that one.
And Tony Danza, and Matthew McConaughey, and Adrian Brody, and Brenda Fricker, and
and Brenda
Fricker,
You
who
already said
is
that.
in Home Alone 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We don't need to get into that. How do you feel about Rookie of the Year? Did you like that one? Directed by Daniel Stern. It was his debut film as a director.
It's his directorial debut.
I feel like he largely got the job because of his success with Home Alone.
Well, it had to be. I mean, because like Rookie of the Year came out in 93.
Yeah, 93 or 94.
Maybe early 94.
Yeah.
They were shooting that in 92 or 93. So that's kind of on the coattails of Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's actually like it's a decent family comedy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. It's like basically this kid injures his arm and it's like super powerful for pitching, and he's able to just like throw it to the point where he can compete in the major leagues.
Yeah, and it explores some interesting themes that are fun. It's fun for both kids and parents, I think, because it's like we know that if you know the first thing about professional sports, especially Major League Baseball, it's like there's a seedy underbelly to that. Yeah. This is not a place for children to live.
Yeah, and then Daniel Stern's kind of like the pitcher who like subs for him. Is he his relief pitcher? Yeah, I think he maybe is
coming out of the bullpen.
I think he may be his relief pitcher.
Is he harboring some ill will towards the kid because the kid took a slot in like the rotation?
No, it's not like that at all, because Daniel Stern plays very similar to Home Alone. He plays kind of the clown in that movie. He's like the guy who's stuffing his cheek with too much tobacco, although I think he may be just doing chewing gum. I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, in the big leagues, they mix it with the chewing gum. You need something.
Do they?
Yeah, you need something to chew on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's the dry stuff, right? It's not that moist snuff.
Yeah, the thing I remember the most about Daniel Stern is he's always got this giant thing packed in his cheek. Yeah.
That kid, by the way, same kid from A Kid in King Arthur's Court.
And American
Pie and the American Pie sequels.
I never saw Kid in King Arthur's Court.
The big thing with that was the gag with he's got like the Discman, the CD Walkman.
That's also the plot they used for Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
Is that the same?
Yeah, Martin Lawrence is like modern day dude. He goes back into Camelot.
Right. Yeah, because he works at the putt-putt golf. He works at the mini golf and he falls into the pool, the mini golf, and for some reason, inexplicably, it transports him to Camelot.
This is like a Mark Twain story, right?
A Confederate in King Arthur's Court?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I haven't read it lately, if ever.
I've seen one rendition of it. I haven't seen Black Knight, but I've heard it's great.
Oh, I saw Black Knight like 12 times on Stars.
I tell you what, man, people think Bad Boys is where Martin Lawrence's strength is.
No way.
Blue Streak.
It's Blue Streak.
Blue
exactly.
Streak.
Oh, with Peter Green as the villain? It's too good, man.
Luke Wilson is like, he's high.
Blue Streak Bad Boys is way overrated, man.
Yeah. I do remember loving. Yeah, I do remember.
It's good. It's actually got like sort of like a low key good soundtrack.
Yeah,
that movie. Yeah, totally underrated. Bad Boys. Get out of here, Michael Bay.
I don't need it. I mean, I do like Michael Bay when it comes to Armageddon and
Transformers
and The Rock
and The Rock.
No, not Transformers.
You love Transformers. Shut up. What were we talking about? Daniel Stern?
Marv. Did you ever see Diner?
I don't think I've ever seen Diner.
It's like one of the earliest films that Daniel Stern was in, and it's got like a young Mickey Rourke.
Is it just scenes at a diner? Is that
Kind
does
of,
it take
yeah.
place at a diner?
For the most part, it's just conversations at a diner, and it's, I don't know, I thought it was really good.
I gotta see it.
Yeah.
I love me a young Mickey Rourke. I'm a big fan of a young Mickey Rourke.
Oh yeah.
What Mickey Rourke movies are your favorites? I'll tell you mine. It's Body Heat. I love Mickey Rourke in Body Heat.
Mickey Rourke is in Body Heat? I thought that was William Hurt.
Oh yeah, William Hurt's the main character, but Mickey Rourke is like the ex-con
Yeah.
who William Hurt goes to, and he's like, I need to make a bomb. And Mickey Rourke is like, I wouldn't recommend this, counselor. He's the one who tries to talk him out of it.
Oh,
He is slick in that movie. Like, he is like peak sex symbol in that movie.
Ted Danson's in that movie too.
Hey, you know, we've been looking for you two guys for a long time.
Yeah. Now remember, we're the Wet Bandits. Wet Bandits. And
So do you have a favorite Daniel Stern movie as an actor?
Wonder Years.
That's not a movie, that's a television show, but I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Because it really kind of defined his career
Yeah.
for a while.
I had no idea that was Daniel Stern until like long after I'd seen the show. I remember watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they asked the question, who narrates Wonder Years? And Daniel Stern came up, and I was like, that's the guy from Home Alone. That's a joke. There's no way that guy narrates Wonder Years, because his performance in that is just so straight, you know, like every line. But yeah, it's Daniel Stern.
And you never see him on screen either. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, this guy is such a goof. He's such a character. He's
Yeah.
such a physical performer. Why would he just be like a voiceover narration for a show? But nevertheless. Okay, so you learned it from Regis Philbin.
I did. Yeah.
You ever seen Chud?
No, I've been meaning to. Daniel Stern has a writing credit on that because of how much he improv during his performances.
Cool. Anyway, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I would be remiss to not mention the film Bushwhacked. Have you seen this one?
I've seen Bushwhacked.
You seen Bushwhacked?
Yeah. The unofficial Home Alone 3.
Yeah, or like The Adventures of Marv Murchins.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If I were a parent and I had to submit my kids to camping under Daniel Stern from Bushwhacked, I probably would have opted not to do that.
No, same. I mean, well,
And then like, isn't it that like there's some story about how he's like the best scout leader ever? Because it's a
he's
case
really-
of
he's set up for failure.
It's a case of mistaken identity, because there actually is a guy who's like the best Boy Scout man,
Right.
And then
the best boy man, the best man scout,
the best boy
man.
the best boy
Scout.
man scout.
Yeah, the mess.
Did you like Bushwhacked?
Not really, but well, I mean, like, sure, it's not a good movie, but I enjoy it, especially if I'm watching it through the lens of this is actually Marv Murchins.
Yeah.
He's under an assumed identity. He's using a different name.
Yes.
Right. But let's just pretend, okay, this is Marv a few years later.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels like a good redemption story for that character. If you just replaced whatever Daniel Stern's character's name was with Marv, it would have worked pretty well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I actually had to spend some quality time with children, and I realized maybe I can redeem myself. Maybe I can find some value in life, in my pitiful existence.
Yep.
Maybe I can make an impact here. You know, I think maybe it's the first time you ever felt like, oh, I matter, you know?
To someone.
To somebody. I could make a difference in somebody's life.
That's not Harry's.
And also, you know, maybe Marv is kind of a child at heart. You know, he's afraid of the dark. He likes toys.
How would that work? So we think of Harry and Marv as like Harry is the brain and Marv is the child. And so at some point, the two would have had to separate. What do you think the story is there? Marv was just like, I'm tired of the criminal life. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, I guess I would ask, do you think Harry regrets partnering with Marv?
No.
No?
No, because he's in the sequel.
Yeah, but do you think maybe he's irritated that the whole Wet Bandits thing and the overflowing sinks probably like quintupled their sentence because now they know each and every. He told Marv not to do it. He did it anyway. Like maybe at some point, do you think Harry was just like, I can't deal with this anymore?
No,
I'm cutting you loose.
No, I think what happened between Home Alone 2 and Bushwhacked is Harry probably got shanked while in prison. And Marv was forced to go out on his own, and he ended up being a Boy Scout leader.
Do you think that if certain policies at the state and federal levels had not led to the mass closures of state hospitals, maybe Marv wouldn't be out on the streets robbing people's homes? Maybe he might be getting the treatment that he needs. Is Marv ultimately a tragic character? I mean, is he really the victim here, the victim of a society who has cast him aside?
I swear to God, if I have to hear one more rant about Reaganomics, I'm going to hit myself in the face with a paint can.
I didn't say a single thing, and this isn't even a conversation about economics. It's a conversation about social policy. Where does our spending belong?
My answer is no.
No. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I don't want to. I will accept that as an answer because in the past I've asked you yes or no questions and then you've just extrapolated ad nauseum and I've browbeaten you about it. So I'll accept that. I do want to point out though that just saying no isn't great for radio.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
So, was the juice worth the squeeze?
I don't know what that means.
Let's talk about Marv's legacy.
Yeah.
I think when you think about Home Alone, what's the value of Marv? Could the film exist without him?
I mean, now that you ask the question, even the filmmakers didn't seem to think so. Well, not without Marv, but without Daniel Stern's interpretation of who Marv was. They tried doing it with another actor, and he just didn't have the chemistry with Joe Pesci. And whatever Daniel Stern brought to that role, that was the magic they needed to get this film to work. Most of the heartiest laughs I have while watching Home Alone are as a result of some slapstick stuff that Daniel Stern did.
I know that these claims can fly sort of fast and loose in this world in which we live and operate, but I gotta say, I think Marv is my favorite character in Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's not the same movie without him.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you that it's not the same movie, not just without the character, but without Daniel Stern. And I think what surprises me is that I guess in 1989 or 88 or whenever they're casting this thing, Daniel Stern was high enough up on his career horse to demand, to say, no, I'm turning this down unless it fetches me this much.
Yeah.
And they said, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they did. But also, I feel like Home Alone, to me, is sort of like a really... It's a crowning achievement.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other films that I know Daniel Stern from, and him playing Marv is like it.
We've talked about a lot, and I think we've kind of given him the shine on some other roles that he's had, but really, it's like, what bigger movie than Home Alone do we know Daniel Stern from? And so it feels like this sort of beautiful marriage, where it's like the movie absolutely needs him. Mm-hmm. It's the actor that the movie deserves. And likewise, for such a talented and vibrant and enjoyable performer, it's the movie that his career deserves. And frankly, I wish I knew him from more things than Home Alone.
Yeah.
Where is he? What's he doing next?
Check out Chud.
Yeah. I like Chud. I said that one already. Did you write that down after I said it? Did I say Chud and then you wrote it down so you could tell me to check it out?
Yes.
What are you, gaslighting me?
Yes.
I've already seen that movie. I already said that I saw it.
That's what happened.
And you said you didn't see it.
Did you see Diner?
No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one yet, but I'll check it out.
All right.
I'll check it out.
Merry Christmas.
Road Home Alone is broadcast live from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's hosted by Jimmy Dantes and Joey Z and produced by Pat Muldoon. Until next time, eat junk and listen to rubbish.